You are an entrepreneur, a professional, a speaker, or a coach. And although you've come a long way, it's time for you to take it to the next level. We've got you. This is the Author to Authority podcast. We'll help you use authority and influencer marketing to build your business stronger and faster by publishing a book. You'll hear from guests that are thought leaders in sales, marketing, networking, communication, social media, promotion, and business leadership. Let's do it. This is the Author to Authority podcast. And now your host, the extraordinary word ninja, Kim Thompson-Pinder.
Welcome to the Author to Authority podcast. So 2 things today. First of all, can you scale your B2B service business? And we're gonna explore that. And then how do you do that without losing your mind? Because I can tell you, it's not always easy. So I am excited to have Tanya Alvarez on with us today. At 25, she self-funded her first New York ad agency using credit cards and achieved 0 to 1 million in revenue in the first year. Okay, I'm jealous. I'm drooling. Along the way, she traveled to 42 countries, completing the Boston and New York marathons and a half Ironman, all while battling a rare brittle bone condition. She has a classic underdog story, and she's on a mission to help you own your life, not just your business. Through Owners Up, Tanya aims to empower you to win at work without losing at home. Utilize facilitated accountability sprints to scale your business daily. Whoa. Okay, the brain and the mouth, I'm not connecting. Business sanely and enable you to live your ideal life now. Welcome to the show, Tanya.
Thank you for having me. And yeah, it is a tricky one, that word sanely, right?
It's called, I've been up for quite a few hours now and the brain and the lips just don't connect. And the other thing is, you know, I'm kind of hitting menopause. And every once in a while, it's like my brain stops working.
Yeah.
I look at a word and I'm like, I can't even say it. I'm like, okay, this is nuts. I'm not liking this at all.
This is almost like my everyday. I'm dyslexic, actually. So sometimes words, I switch them around or I miss a word in my head. I said it, but it didn't come out.
Well, you know what?
When I enter menopause, it'll be much more interesting.
Kudos for you, though, for not letting that stop you.
Yeah.
It's not easy. You know, my husband right now, school was never his thing. He was always the hands-on kid. He spent 32 years fixing machinery. He went back to school at 58. He'll be graduating in a couple of months at 60.
Amazing.
And it's been a hard journey for him going back to school. And, you know, we suspect that he might have some sort of reading disability. But, you know, he was born in the 60s, so it's not like they diagnosed those things back then, right? So I'm like, yeah, you know, kudos to him and kudos for you for just not giving up and pushing through, because sometimes we do have obstacles. Sometimes we have huge obstacles in front of us, but we can't let those things stop us.
Mm-mm.
So Tanya, first of all, let's get a little bit into your story because, okay, first of all, 0 to 1 million in a year. Let's talk about that and then share some of the other things that you've done.
Yeah, so I was 25 and I just jumped in. And before that, I think a lot of people hear that story and they're like, whoa. But I want to remind the years before, I was working at a bunch of startups and I would go for any position. And from that position, I would learn so many things. I would want to learn every department as much as I can. Then I jumped in. And what really helped me scale that first year was the knowledge I had before, but also the years I had of literally focus and understanding my blocks of time and strategy and how I set up my schedule. So I knew I wanted to travel. Right. And I was 25. I want to travel all around the world because, you know, when I grew up, we didn't have much money. and I wanted to see the world. So no matter what, I would just schedule and book a ticket with credit cards, whatever during that time. Because the first months, like you're not making that much, right? You're kind of like reinvesting into the company. And so what that allowed me to do is like, oh shoot, I'm going away for 2 weeks. That means a business has to run without me. So it forced me to set up systems. It forced me to have my team literally like be able to run things without me. And if there was a fire, they would be able to handle it, because I was going to like Peru and countries that didn't have internet, right? Or they did, but it was very like spotty. And so I needed to trust my team, and I needed to trust the systems, and also be able to be, okay, if there is a fire, there's nothing I can't do, that like it can wait and I can fix it in 2 weeks. And that really helped me just scale quickly and also avoid burnout, because I had that time to take off, to disconnect, that I came in being like, yes, let's do it again. So that's super important. So it was a little bit of being naive that really helped me, and being wanting to see so much and having that structure in place in the beginning.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So let's go into this a little bit more. So before you started the ad agency, had you worked in advertising at all?
I did. But I have to say, like, and this is one thing that one of the biggest lessons I learned, and it sounds like, oh, this is great. You know, she grew to 1 million, she got to travel and everything. One big lesson I learned, there was a client that owed me $100,000. Like,
Yeah.
crap. And this client was always paying me on time. So then when they were a little late, I gave them like, 15 days, and it was going longer. So of course I thought I had tons of support. I have family and friends. And so I asked my family and friends, like, what should I do? And they're like, sue. I was like, oh, okay. Then, I asked like a community in one of these forums, and I didn't know much about who the people were. And they said the same thing, sue. So here I am, 25. All right, I should sue. Wrong answer. Wrong. Yeah. So what ends up happening is you pay a lot in legal fees, and then the energy that you could have probably just, instead of like dealing with this, the energy you could have done to make more money. And that was like the biggest lesson in making sure you have the right squad around you with the right people. Because we all assume that we have the right people, but some of these people have never been in these decisions. So how do we know? And there's so much like out there in internet, in the sense of like the forums, like Instagram, but then most of these people, when you start digging in, they might have not had this experience, and they're just based on like maybe a movie they saw, a book they read. So it's really key to have the right people around you so you can make decisions faster. And I learned that a very costly and hard way.
Well, the other thing too is that communication, right? Like if the company had been willing to communicate with you, and if you had, approached them, maybe something could have been worked out, that you didn't have to go through this process, right? Just because, someone is getting slower at paying you doesn't mean that they're going to stop paying you, or doesn't mean eventually that they're going to ghost you. I think communication is the key.
Yes, so we did communicate, but they kept going further and further back. So there was a sense of like, there's a lot of other things we can go into. But the thing is, I was like, okay, after I communicate, second attempt, I'm suing. Yeah. And then there's other ways to go around it. But it could be many decisions, right? It could be like, should I hire this person? You ask somebody, your family and friends, or somebody that just read a book and you had no clue that they're giving you this advice. It's so important to have people who are at the same level or above that you respect, so you can make decisions quicker and faster. And that led me to where I'm at now with Owners Up.
Mm-hmm. So just a question, because I'm really curious about this. So, when you go from 0 to 1 million in a year, did you already have like sales skills in place? Did you have a network? Like, how were you able to sell that much in such a short period of time?
So part of it was I did, I was in the advertising world where we were doing affiliate marketing before the word affiliate marketing was a buzzword. So the sell was a little bit easier. We would actually look at clients, look at the websites, and decide if we would take them on. And we would only get paid based on the lead or the sale. So we didn't have to say, oh, you're going to pay us $10,000 and we're going to do this, this, this. We're saying, hey, we're going to build all this. You pay us based on lead and sales. And that changed everything. And then we decided who we wanted or not. And the challenge was actually, once we actually delivered a lot of sales, we needed to make sure that they actually had the team to be able to scale it.
Yes.
So that was when we had to kind of start actually deciding even further on who we would take on, if they had the money, how they were investing it, all of that. So we were in a situation where the hardest part was the upfront cost. And since we know we were good at it, we would take that on. And then we had a really long lifetime value. So that's why it was easier to scale. And it was just the different models. And that's how it is in most cases, where you just have to look at the business model, look at your strength, and decide how you can make the sale like a no-brainer. And then sales skills, it's a different game.
Yeah. Wow. That is so cool. All right, Tanya, we're going to take a quick break here. RTI Publishing has lots of resources that's going to help you to not only be able to write a book that converts readers into clients, but is also going to help you scale your business. Listen to this really short ad about one of the free ones we offer, and we'll be right back. Writing and publishing a book that converts readers into client and scales your business is hard, but it doesn't have to be. Get my free checklist at bit.ly/create and scale that will show you what you need to do to have your book become a well-converting lead generating tool. Tanya, I am already so enjoying this conversation. I want to let you loose for a few minutes. And, I know you've come prepared to talk about how to sanely scale a B2B service business. So I'm going to let you loose and then we'll talk about it.
Yeah. So here I was training for the Boston Marathon, and people assume that people who join groups like that don't know, need accountability, or like, why would you do this if you've already, you've been a collegiate runner, you've ran many races to qualify for Boston. Why would you join a group of people? And actually, I know from experience that when you start from like a marathon, you're super excited. It's almost like starting a business. You're super excited. Then you go on this journey. And then the journey is a roller coaster. You are going up and down, and you need the right people to emotionally support you. Say, hey, you can do this. Like, I've been through this. And then also help you with resources. So if you get injured or prevent injuries, and a coach to course correct you, because everybody has blind spots. It's like the hardest thing. Yeah. Like, for example, marketing. My first company's marketing. When it comes to my own marketing, I'm so close to it, right? So it's it happens everywhere. I've coached thousands of entrepreneurs, and they're experts at their thing, but it's hard for them to do their own thing. And so I see constantly, and I'm like, wow, I wish I had this in my first business. Why isn't there groups like that? And what I mean by that is really intimate, small groups, like of 5 people. So you can have that peer feedback. Because sometimes we're writing sales copy, marketing copy, and then we just need somebody to bounce ideas, who knows our business in and out, so we don't have to explain it, right? Or decisions to be made, should I hire this person? Should I hire this? Anybody have frameworks, templates? And that just saves so much time, and time, vanity. I don't know about you, but before that, I can make a decision. I'm just kind of mulling over it for almost weeks, and I'm not in action just because I'm should I make this decision? Should I not? Do I have everything? And so those are the big things. And I think that most people are afraid of accountability, but we really need to embrace accountability, because accountability is going to help you be consistent. And so when I joined that team, it was making sure that I was going to go on those runs, those hard runs, which I didn't want to do, to make sure I had the right people to motivate me. No one's going to shame me. It was just surrounding myself with people who are leveling up their running game. So the same thing is leveling up with other entrepreneurs, and the accountability of being around there. You're I don't want to be the one that's a slacker, right? So it comes in there.
I love what you said about accountability, and, being with those people who level up so that you want to level up. I think it is crucial. One of the things I teach on in authority marketing is there's 5 C's you need to have in your network, but 2 of them are comrade coaches. So comrades are those people who are on the same level as you. when you're having that bad day and you feel like you're going to quit, you go to your family and you tell them what's going on. They're going, "Oh, we understand. If you want to quit, that's okay. Like, we get it. Like, maybe this thing is just not for you, right?" But you go to your
Yes.
car and they go, "Come on, suck it up. It's not as bad as you think. Let's put our minds together, work on this, and figure a way out." And they lovingly give you that kick in the that you need to get back going
Exactly.
again.
Yes, exactly. That was a perfect one. Like when you ask your friends and then in family, and then you ask like other people who are in the trenches with you or who've been there. And they understand that it's like, see, from when you're in it, it feels like you're kind of like spiraling down. But what it is, it's kind of like you're spiraling up and down, but you're going up.
Well, the other thing too is, I've been going through a time lately. It's February. It's dark a lot. Not getting a lot of sunshine. You know, the business is growing, so sanely scaling, recognizing that I've got to now bring on some more people because I'm now starting to feel overloaded, and I'm starting to kind of feel those winter blahs, and I'm like, okay, so I think some of it too is just even recognizing what's going on, because sometimes you could feel like you want to quit, and it's not always necessarily that things are going badly or wrong, but sometimes you could be overwhelmed, you could be physically tired, you could be mentally or emotionally tired, and sometimes you break.
Yeah.
It's not that you actually really true want to quit. You just have something going on that's cutting you out.
And I think that goes to second where we're not used to the patterns. So, what I mean by that is there are probably signs you didn't see until it started actually affecting you mentally or physically, right? Business. But when you have other people, they're able to see the first red flag that you might have missed. Like,
Yes.
And even if like there's some goals that I've reached and or something that I'm like, why am I not happy or what's going on here? And there's belief systems in there. So we like to
Yes.
see like if somebody doesn't reach a goal, we have a strategy on to keep them consistent. But then the second time we understand, we start looking into it and seeing, okay, was this because you don't have the right systems in place? Was this a belief? Or was this kind of like you're in the analysis for like paralysis kind of scenario? You're overthinking it, right? And when we start thinking about those three things, then when we understand where they are, we're able to help them out. So immediately they get through this and not until they're like, oh, I want to sell my business, or maybe this isn't for me, right? And I think a lot of entrepreneurs get there very quickly because they miss all these red flags because they're in their own echo, right?
Well, it's funny you say analysis paralysis, because we deal with that with our clients when they're doing their books. We actually had to change part of the systems that we do in creating the books for our customers, because they were getting so bogged down in the first few chapters trying to make them perfect and in analysis paralysis. So we actually just changed the whole system so that doesn't happen anymore, because clients were stopping their books because they were just analyzing. And I finally looked at them and said, stop it, like, stop it. You're not even going to analyze any of the book. Okay, they do revisions, but they're not going to do any analyzing of the book until you're at least halfway through, because you can't see the big picture when you're just working on the first chapter and you've never written a book before. So, you
Mhm.
know, and the other thing is there is no such thing as perfect.
Yeah, you're going to be editing.
But the other thing you talked about, I realized many years ago that I had a set that was causing me to sabotage.
Oh yeah. I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs do. There's some aspect, even if it's like an old story money belief that we kind of like taken on family.
Yeah. But I realized as a kid, I was very different from a lot of the other kids. I was half black, half white. My mom had died when I was 4. I was a head taller than all the other kids. So most of the attention I got was not positive. I
Hmm.
was constantly being teased. I have afro. I'm half black, half white. I know I don't look it, but I actually am. And as a child, I looked more black than white. And I had a full scale black afro, but my hair wasn't black. It was auburn. It was red. And so I always felt like I stuck out like a sore thumb, and I was constantly teased. In fact, if one more person had asked me and said to me, "What did you do? Stick your finger in a light socket?" Somebody was probably going to die. Like it was hitting point.
Yeah.
And so I had decided at an early age that I wanted to be in, because if no one saw me, then nobody would pick on me. And what I didn't realize is that I carried that into ownership. But you can't build and scale a big business or invisible. The two just do not go hand in hand. And so I actually had to do a lot of soul searching, praying, thinking about it, starting to recognize, when am I self-sabotaging? What am I thinking? And then recognizing and once I recognized the pattern, then I was like, okay, now I have to do something about this. And you know what? To be honest, there's still times every once in a while, like the other day, I found myself doing it. Like, it's like I had to look in the mirror and say, stop it. You are fine. You're good. This life is not as bad as you think, And I mean, life is not bad right now. There are challenges, but life's not bad. But
pressure makes diamonds, right? But I totally understand your story. I do your system a little differently, and I have the same situation. I think a lot of entrepreneurs have something. I don't want to be seen. So I came from a family where, my oldest has been a wheelchair user since she was, 3 or 4. We have a rare disease, osteogenesis imperfecta. My mother immigrated from Colombia, single mom. And so all I wanted to do was fit in, right? Like, let me fit in. Let me help people not notice me. So I don't want to be seen. And that's what actually stopped me from like going on stages, like doing podcasts. So what I did, I was like, okay, I have an issue. Let me research your resources and let me enroll others who are also going through this, who also want to up level this. And so what I do is I create my own squad and we're going through this together. So we ended up doing some personal development, some book clubs, all of this stuff. And so now because I don't think like it's an easy, you were aware of it, you open the door and you're good. No, there's times where things are going to get triggered. So you need the right people to know how to support you so you don't go swing down. And so I have that. So I always like to, when I have a challenge, enroll others in that same thing like, you don't want people who are just like, what is it? What's the word I want to use?
Cheerleader.
Therapy. You want cheerleaders, but you don't want people that are like, oh God, I'm feeling this today. No, you want people who really want to take on this challenge. They really want out. Because some people say they want the challenge, but really they just want to, it's true. I don't know. I'm just going to be honest. And I want people like, if you were on my team, all of a sudden you're going to him. Like, you're going to experience this, but imagine all the people you're going to impact, all those little girls who are similar than you, right? So I acknowledge what you're feeling and then you forward.
Yeah.
And so
I got to admit, I do have a couple of other friends. It doesn't happen very often now, but every once in a while, I just need to vent. I just need to get it all out of my system. So I do have a couple of friends that when I need to get it all my system, that are there for me. But like you said, they don't let me stay there. It's like, okay, you got it out of your system. What are you going to do now? How are you going to move forward?
Different things. Like I met my husband because I created a group.
Love it.
So I was in New York dating. I was having fun. I was like, oh shit, I need to get serious. But every time like I get serious with people, I self-sabotage and I realized what I was doing. So I realized, I have bias. So I had these people I respected on Tinder. And then they would have to go on a date. And instead of looking for something bad about the person, which, that was kind of like, felt like, oh, let's see. I had to look for something great about the person and report back to them. So I wouldn't have swiped on my husband one picture off. And me trying to find something wrong. Oh no, I'm not going to, what's wrong with that? Maybe all the other pictures are just like edited so much, whatever it was. And so that person swiped, I went on a date and it worked out. Crazy, right? So there's all these biased or like things that we have that we haven't really assessed, and having that accountability to actually move us forward is the way to go.
I so agree. So you told me, Tanya, that you are kind of working on your book. So I would love for you to share, about your book, where you're at in the journey, some goals that you have, things like that.
Yes. So my first attempt at a book, I was pregnant. I was like, oh, I could do it. And it was my first time being pregnant. Woo, the loans are something else. And I could not concentrate. I was like going through some, oh, I don't know if I have it in me book, all that conversation. And so now what I'm doing is really kind of writing, researching, and distilling. And it's funny that you're not being seen, because one of my big things about, oh no, I got to analyze this. I got to tell so many stories, because the book is about, I believe that everybody, as we already spoke about, to achieve any monumental goal should have a squad. And I think there's 3 types of squads, right? There's one where it's like setting up for the relationship. The other one is like the typical, like, goal setting to achieve a certain metric. And then there's another about, I had less than 7% chance of having 1 kid through IVF. And I'm fortunate to have 2, but it was a journey I can do more of. It wasn't anything like, you got to do this. It was something I had to learn how to surrender, and I needed to have the right people in place. So that was big. So now it's kind of distilling all these stories that are so intimate, and then like figuring out the frameworks that I learned, these frameworks just to survive, right? All these accomplishments you see is I just formed these groups to survive, and now I learned to thrive with them. And now telling that story and allowing myself to go through it. And as before, I'm dyslexic. So writing is not like something that I'm like, woohoo, this is great, I'm going to go for it. But what I've been reading the book Hidden Potential by Adam Grant is that everyone says, go through your zone of genius, right? Just stick to your zone of genius. But sometimes, just like your husband, we need to actually do stuff that are challenging for us, because it helps us to actually see what we really want, distill and get that skill and work on it. And so now, instead of resisting this writing, now I'm like, okay, I'm looking at the writing as, all right, this is going to really help me communicate this framework so I can impact many people who might be that little girl that's now an adult, obviously, but going through those, like, how can I create this structure? How can I move when everything's against me, with defying all these odds? How can I achieve it? Because we all have odds, right? There's so many things that are obstacles. How do we go about moving them? So this whole book thing is a journey. And I think that for other writers, it comes second nature to them. Like, oh, it's a hero story, start here, but for others, you have to go through your process, right? And This is my process to do it pregnant again.
What's really funny is with my clients, sometimes I relate writing and launching a book to being pregnant and giving birth. You've got this thing growing inside of you that, you're trying to develop. You've got all these emotions that you're dealing with, because it doesn't matter whether you're writing a nonfiction book about sales or whether you're writing a story about abuse. There's emotions involved when you're writing a book, and yourself. Self-doubt is a regular thing. When you're pregnant, am I even going to be a good mom? I don't know if I could do this. I mean, I wanted a kid, but I didn't realize it was going to be like this, right? And then you've got the chaos of labor, which is similar to the chaos of launching a book. And, it's like everything around you chaotic, but you have to trust the nurse and you have to trust the doctor when it seems to be going. You don't even know where. And then you give birth to this child, or you launch this like it's yours. So Tanya, we've only got a few minutes left. I've really enjoyed today's conversation. I would love for you to share a final thought, and for those who have really resonated with you today, how can they connect with you?
Absolutely. I am active on LinkedIn, so you can find me, Tanya Alvarez, and then on Instagram, Tanya C, as in the letter C, Alvarez, And if you want to DM me on either of those platforms, I'll definitely send you a framework that has helped me really, really understand what to prioritize with goals. Because I think with entrepreneurs, we all have these shiny objects. We're like, oh, we should do this, we should do this, we should do this. But how to get the format of where to put it and how to prioritize which one is best for your return on an investment.
I love it. Final thought?
Little tip. I have on my phone a list that's called I'm Possible. And it's everything I've achieved was impossible. Because somehow when we achieve things, we forget what it was in the beginning. So I write like the emotions, what I felt, and then when I finally achieved it, right? And then how I felt, and then the reward I give myself, because sometimes we forget and we keep going. And so now anytime I go through something really hard, I look through that list and I'm like, I can do this. I understand this feeling and this emotion in my body, achieve this.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Oh, Tanya, thank you so much for being on the show today. It's been a pleasure having you on.
Thank you for having me.
Well, if you're still listening at this point and kind of wondering where to go next, I highly suggest that you go back to episode 476. So if you're on your podcast app, almost 20, you're going to be skating back almost 20 episodes. But I would love for you to listen How to 10X Your Business by Doing Less, Ryan Johnson. If you're on YouTube, you know that the thumbnail will appear here somewhere for you to click on. And I just want to encourage you today. If you're struggling, if you are going through a battle, if mentally you're trying to wonder if you can do this entrepreneur thing, you know what? Connect Tanya. Because sometimes one conversation can change it all. Tanya talked that, you need those people surrounding you and you can't see the forest for the trees. And if you've listened to the podcast, you already know that I spent last summer working with specialists because it wasn't that I didn't know what I needed to do. I couldn't see the forest for the trees to do it for my own business. So, connect with her. Connect with her. Don't feel like you're alone. Well, thank you so much for listening today, and we will see you on the very episode. Bye now.
You've been listening to the Author to Authority podcast. The extraordinary word ninja, Kim Thompson-Pinder, has helped over 200 entrepreneurs, professionals, speakers, and coaches write and publish their books that have become incredible marketing tools for their business. And many of those have gone on to become Amazon best-selling authors and have used their books to land high-level clients and get on big stages. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review. And we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hit the website at www.authortoauthoritypodcast.com. See you next time.